again, interwebs. We were here, we were gone, we were here, we were gone. We're here. Maybe later we'll be gone. No, not now. Don't hit the... Oh. I think they turned us off.
That would imply they turned us on to begin with.
Well, they probably got brought here on accident. They clicked the wrong thing. This is the latest, if not greatest, F3G2, where we review comical books in the back of Famous Faces and Faces, 3 Fs, for the quality website, Gonna Geek. 2 Gs. See what I did there? I'm so clever. I can count and know the alphabet. I can't really count that well, but 2 and 3 I could handle. So, whew, if we'd gotten into the double digits, 1, that'd be a ridiculous name for either a store or a website. But 2, I don't think I would have made it. So, let's review some comical books. Let's start with Action Comic. Look at the changes. Action Comics, Oz Effect, Part 5. This is Action Comics number 991. On its way to 1,000. Action Comics, all the Superman books have been so good since Rebirth. And, this is no exception. First off, Victor Bogdanovic, who... I get why they moved him. He's great, and you guys weren't seeing him. I think they should have kept him on where he was, because that new Superman book, the Chinese Superman, King Kong, is so good, and you're not reading it, and I think he could have been a draw. But, a draw, because he's an artist who makes people come looking, woo boy, he's a draw. Woo, woo boy. Man, but it's beautiful, and also, let's not forget that a lot of that Mike Spicer's colors. It takes a certain kind of colors to color a Superman book, because you have to make the brightest of the brights, and he does really well. Superman, very primary colored. I just love these expressions. Look at that. Oh. Anywho, I think this has been my favorite issue of the Oz Effect storyline, because in this one, while everything seems to be leaning towards the fact that Oz really is... My throat doesn't work so well. Bear with me. And I'm talking over a lozenge that's quickly dissolving, and then my throat will go back to hurting, and I won't be able to say anything to you. And you'll be so happy.
Yeah, they will.
Anywho, everything seems to indicate that he actually is Jor-El. But in this issue, we get a moment. He's got Clark overpowered. There's kryptonite involved. There's Doomsday waiting in the wings, and Clark, in trying to stop him, does what Clark does best and saves him. And he's able to think clearly. He's like, Clark, I'm sorry about this part of what I did. You got to believe me. Oh my God, he's coming, and he gets sucked through a vortex that Clark isn't able to save him from, which should most likely tie straight into Doomsday Clock, as he's been recaptured by Dr. Manhattan, who's like, you've given away all my trade secrets. Now, even though things look promising that we will get the return of some form of Connor Kent, it is disappointing that Clark spends not enough time in the old prison of Oz's to look around and see if there's any other people there. Great story, hitting all the marks. What's been great with these little bits they've been doing, leading towards Doom, is they haven't given us everything all at once, but they've also...
Does he still have Tim?
No. This Tim on the cover? Wait till we get to the next book.
Hey, you're the one that brought
You're
up...
You're on the quiet side of the camera. Quiet side of the camera.
Yeah, because that always works out.
I'm on the noisy side. You on the quiet side. So he didn't get to look and see if anybody else was there and maybe find any sign of Tim or what happened with Tim. So hopefully that's still coming. Now, I mean, not Tim, with Connor. Look what you've done to me. Meanwhile, with Tim,
you're not hard to distract.
Tim is badass. And the only thing more badass than Tim is Tim. And that can go back and forth and back and forth, and it does. As Tim keeps getting the upper hand over Tim. Tim Drake from the future keeps getting the upper hand, but then our Tim Drake keeps getting, takes the hand back. Oh, he's literally, Tim's mind is so analytical that while the other Tim is like, I remember when I was you and I've come so far and I'm able to outmaneuver you, our Tim is like, well, I understand. It's like computer programming. He's like, okay, you've got all these new updates, but I understand the core program that you started with. So using my knowledge of that, I can figure out where you're going to go with all your new knowledge. And it's brilliant. Everybody gets involved, and ultimately, our Tim is defeated. But in a way, Hyper Time is solidified back, which is nice because that means that that gives us, if nothing else, the solid. I mean, we already knew because as writers go, one, they never get to that future. It's not like we're gonna get in the regular Batman book. Batman dies and everybody else becomes, all the horrible things happen. And Tim grows up and blah blah blah. But what we will, but that is because that's also in continuity. That is an alternate timeline. So it could happen. It could not happen. And that's just fine. And this book is also gorgeous. Come on, give me a title page. Oh, all those Batman and all those Robins. Hyper Time keeps making them look funny. Changing them to like painted style and old coloring dot style. So good. But of course, future Tim, when they are able to send him back, future Tim leaves current Tim with a lot to think about. Here we go. Here are the credits. Alvaro Martinez, gorgeous on art. James Tynion, we already know I'm a big fan of. Raul Fernandez on inks and Tomeo Mori on colors. Even Sal Cipriano on letters. Because that name I could say, because Italiano. It's just a beautiful book, and it's so well written, and it really is one of my favorites. Like, Batman and Action Comics are great, but Superman and Detective are my favorites. X-Men Gold. Mojos everywhere, literally, and not a drop to drink. But don't drink Mojo. It's cool to see all the different timescapes as they're put through all these scenarios in the Mojo verse. Kitty leading, like Kitty was meant to. Various different angles. Everybody gets a little bit of a moment to shine. And of course, I don't know, it's Guggenheim. That makes a lot of sense as to why it's so damn good. Longshot sometimes seems a little spacey, even for Longshot, and I'm still confused as to why Longshot has a tattoo of the shine over his eye. His eye glowed. He didn't have a tattoo over it.
It glows.
His eye would glow when he would use his luck power. The one with the tattoo over the eye was Shatterstar. So I don't know, but it works. Port of Earth #1 by Zach Kaplan, Andrea Moody, Vladimir Popov.
That's just fun to say,
Isn't it? The idea of this issue is the slow burn, but it's necessary. This is Port of Earth issue 1 is the exposition. This sets up everything. Earth is finally visited by aliens. The aliens don't really want to deal much with humans, but they give us their technology to a degree, which included engines that can run on water. They just want to use, and they don't even need much water. So Earth becomes a port. They literally build a station, like a dock, where ships can come down and they get a little bit of water out of the ocean and then can take off. And most of the time they don't even deal with people at all. But sooner or later, some things happen, blah, blah, blah. And these alien group that came down, which at first we thought were like we thought they were like an international like almost like an alien UN, almost like a Federation of Planets. No, it turns out they're really more like an alien Exxon, Exxon Valdez, Exxon, oil company, and they're Valdez because there is a bit of a crash, in so much as they're just out for their investment, so they can't have aliens and humans killing each other. That's bad for business. Oh. So they set up basically an Earth security agency that's job is, to deal with aliens and protect the aliens from the humans and vice versa. So this is the first issue, setting that up, and stuff's happening, and we're gonna ride along with two of our boys as we see what's going down. The Pitiful Human Lizard continues to be the best thing about Canada. Luke Carter's, this is season 3, issue 4. This issue is completely lizardless. It's all human guys. Our only supervillain running is while Lucas is was out with his family at a restaurant, he sees the two girls that frequently kick his ass in their civilian guys at the bar. They're just watching a sporting event. A couple times he thinks it's going to go south. It doesn't. But we get some nice family. We get to meet his sister, his nieces, his nephews. His parents are there. And it's just really nice. Look at that. It's just, there they are. Looking, but I love this book. I don't understand how to put it into words. Batman Lost. Once upon a midnight dreary, Batman sits all weak and weary and dreams through his life as he's, in reality, trapped in the dark multiverse, and it's basically trying to break him. And the best way to do that is to get about in his head and mess with everything. Through this, we learn that Hawkman and Hawkgirl originally led the Hawk Clan, and they went to war with the Bat Clan. So I don't know if Batman and Hawkman could ever be on a team again. It's very complicated. The best part of this entire book was there is who does that art there? I don't even know who does which. So, best part of this book is the one art style. I don't know who's. So you just have to trust me that all the stories have good art, but one of the art styles is better than the others. You'll just have to trust me on that. Hal and the Green Lantern Corps. This is a dark metal tie-in. All right, it's Hal versus Dawnbreaker, and Hal has some of the best Hal Jordan moments that Robert Venditti has written are in this issue. As he uses his brain, he's the thinking man's Hal instead of everyone focuses on the fact that Hal's brash and has authority issues and blah blah, but Hal's also like really fucking good at what he does, and has been doing it for a while, and that shows here. Everything from using a strobe effect, because Dawnbreaker's power is to feed off of the light, so he doesn't give him a solid enough light to or a steady enough light to feed off of, to the fact that he's like, you're gonna break me with fear, and as Dawnbreaker shows, makes like projections of every villain he's ever had to try and and Hal's just like, okay then, who's first, and takes them all on. He doesn't win, but he doesn't give up either, because he's Hal Jordan. Spider-Man versus Deadpool. I like Bacalo art. In the newest previews, I dropped this book. It's gotten... the Deadpooliness of it has clearly outweighed the Spider-Man-ness of it. And I just...
Did you even read it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And it confirmed that I was right when I decided. I thought I was just dropping the book out of I read too many books. Let me cut down. But no, I'm also just dropping it because whatever. Meanwhile, a book I will never drop. Herald County, number 27. Shit gets real. Witches up on witches, bitches. One of our mystical little sidekicks may be dead. I mean, he was sort of dead already, so it's hard to tell. But
The Skin Boy.
the Skin Boy. That'd be nice. Meanwhile, is it Cammy? Is that the friend's name? I'm never great at remembering character names, but she comes into her own as she has to take on. No, Cammy's his sister. I think. So the little friend has to take on. Yeah, Bernice has to take on Cammy. And she's got, she's been trained a bit, and she's got the skills to at least by the time that our main girl is able to show up and do what needs doing. But there's some. This book is so creepy and so good. Rock Candy Mountain. We get the origin of our hero, and it's a tragic origin, and it confirms that you should never deal with the devil. He may make you invulnerable, but he may also cause a huge train wreck that kills your wife and infant child. So, there's that. And now we know that since Rock Candy Mountain is considered hobo heaven, that our hero here is on his way to try and find a reunion with his family. He just wants to get to heaven. Which is arguably tricky enough when you've clearly sold your soul. So that's it for the books I read so far. So I bid thee adieu, interwebs. Keep reading. If you're actually watching, keep watching, and have a nice interwebby day.